Hey, ladies, thanks for joining. It's freezing there. So, hi, today we're going to talk about protein and amino acids for muscle health, building big muscles. So, if you're joining, please comment below. If you're watching the replay, please comment replay and let me know if you have any questions. But I got this question the other day about protein and amino acids because they're good for us, and I'll explain why. But first, I have a special guest. Come here. This is our special guest. Where you go? I am puppy sitting today. This is Duncan. Yeah. His name is Duncan, and we get him for 3 hours today. He's our special guest. Hey, Barb. So we're puppy sitting. This puppy is going to be a guide dog. So a friend of mine trains guide dogs for visually impaired people. So little Duncan is our surprise guest. So anyway, I'm going to hand him off to my daughter. But he's so cute. I thought you all might want to see him. All right. So hope everybody's doing well. And if you have questions, please post them below as we go along. I'm going to go ahead and get started because we actually have a fair amount to cover today. We're talking about protein, as we've talked about many times before in these weekly live sessions that I do. But today we're going to specifically address amino acids because my friend Tracy asked about it, and it's an excellent question. And I had a little problem getting my slides. So just bear with me here. You know me, I'm not super tech. So unfortunately, I wanted to show these where you could see me as well, but had some problems getting them in StreamYard. Anyway, let's just move forward. So let's talk about protein and amino acids for muscle strength and fitness. And unfortunately, I can't see your questions, but I will answer them as soon as I'm done. Okay, so please feel free to post your questions. I will see them. So real quickly, I'm going to briefly review a topic we've talked about many times before, and that is sarcopenia, which is age-related muscle loss, and that's why we are interested in protein. Why protein is important is because we lose a lot of muscle mass as we age. It's a normal, thing that happens to us as human beings. The question is, can we slow or delay that process with protein? And it appears that we can from the research that's being done, is that getting enough protein, and that is the key, can help slow the decline of muscle mass. And the other thing, though, that's as if not more important is strength training. And that's why the Women in Motion program that we have is really big on strength training. It's something that most women our age in midlife and beyond don't do. And it's something that we all need to be doing because strength building can keep us independent, can keep us out of a nursing home when we get older. And the other thing is we're able to do more things. If you have a stronger body, upper body and core and back strength, you're just able to do more things and you feel better. And now there's even research showing that strength training can help stabilize blood sugar in people who are pre-diabetic, and has lots of other health benefits that I've covered before. So I'm not going to go into all of that right now. Okay, so when it comes to building healthy muscle, there's two processes that go on all the time in our muscles: muscle protein synthesis, which is MPS, and muscle protein breakdown, which is MPB. So you're going to hear me refer to these throughout this talk. Muscle protein synthesis, MPS, muscle protein breakdown is MPB, okay? So I don't want to overwhelm everybody with this slide, but it's so important that I really wanted to include it. So on the left, you have what's called the postprandial state. That basically means after we eat. So after we eat, the food that we eat, my dog is scratching at the door. Go. After we eat, our food is broken down, is digested, as you all know. And then, so the protein that we consume is broken down into amino acids. Amino acids are the building blocks of protein. We're going to come back to that in a minute. So anyway, after we eat, protein, carbohydrate, fat, it's all digested and broken down into smaller particles. And amino acids are what protein is broken down into. Amino acids go off in our bodies to all areas. I mean, amino acids are involved in multiple processes within our bodies, one of which is muscle protein synthesis. So this is a picture of a muscle. So the amino acids themselves stimulate muscle protein synthesis, especially when there's a surge of amino acids that hit the bloodstream. And I'm going to come back to that point. So a surge would occur after eating, after a meal, right? So those amino acids are going to stimulate muscle protein synthesis. And the other big thing that stimulates MPS is, take a wild guess, strength training, using that muscle, picking up a barbell and lifting it, doing deadlifts like Tracy does, and Julie Wilson does, and Uli does. We've got quite a few women in this group that does like powerlifting and some pretty heavy strength training. Okay, so when there are not enough amino acids around, we have what's called muscle protein breakdown, MPB. And my special guest is making himself known. I'm going to hold on to. Come here. Okay, sorry. If you didn't see the beginning of this session, I'm puppy sitting today. Come here. So Duncan, you gotta call his name. His name is Duncan, and he's the cutest thing. He's a golden retriever, and he's going to be trained to be a service dog. Oh my gosh. Okay. So anyway, so the amino acids enter the muscle cell, the cells of our muscles, and are used for protein synthesis. And then if there's not enough amino acids around, then there's what's called MPB. Okay. So, and those amino acids are released from the muscle into the bloodstream. After everything has been absorbed, then there's what's called plasma, or the amino acids that have been floating around in the blood. Those are plasma amino acids, and they can enter the cell and stimulate. Let me back up. In the post-absorptive state, that would be between meals. Okay. So there is a decrease in plasma amino acids. I'm sorry, I read that wrong. And this, of course, makes sense. So when the plasma amino acids goes down, then our MPB goes down and MPB goes up, right? Okay. So one thing to note here, fasting at any time increases muscle protein breakdown, which makes sense, right? If you're fasting, then there's nothing coming in, there's no protein coming in, so there's no surge in the plasma amino acids, so we have muscle protein breakdown. And that's just a little side note. That's one of my concerns with intermittent fasting, is that you can potentially have more breakdown of muscle tissue during that time. So that's another subject. This is just a couple quick slides that I've shown before. I'm not going to go into these in great detail, but one of the most important things to know about muscle protein synthesis and breakdown is that you want to have your protein intake consistent throughout the day. So you can see here, this is a very typical intake of a lot of women, especially, where they have these really small breakfasts and kind of an average lunch in terms of protein intake, and then this big dinner. And the problem with that is that you won't reach the maximum rate of protein synthesis because the protein intake was not enough at that meal. So if you aim for something more like this, And again, the amount you need per meal, it can be individualized, but this is just an example that if you get, let's say 30 grams at each meal, you're going to get closer to that maximum rate of muscle protein synthesis. All right, so that was kind of a review of another talk I have given before in this group, and it would be under the guide section above. What else do amino acids do before we get to the branched chain amino acids? Well, besides building cells and repairing tissue, this is just for you to know, amino acids are involved with forming antibodies to combat invading bacteria and viruses. They're part of our enzyme and hormonal system. They build RNA and DNA, and they help carry oxygen through the body and participate in muscle activity. So they're very important. Okay. So amino acids are individual units. So on the left here, those you've got your little amino acids all by themselves. Then if they hook together into a chain, that becomes a peptide. That's a small protein. Then if there's a whole bunch of them that all hook together, that makes a protein. So you can see that the amino acids are building blocks of protein. And there's in nature, there's actually 300 plus amino acids. In food, there's only 20, and we'll come back to that. Okay, actually, here we go. So when it comes to amino acids, there's what's called essential amino acids and non-essential amino acids. All that means, it's nothing technical. All it means is that the human body cannot make the essential amino acids, and that's why they're essential. We have to get them from food because our bodies cannot make those amino acids. The amino acids on the right side, the non-essential, our bodies can make those. So that's the only thing about those. And I apologize, this slide is not super clear, but you can see, hopefully you can see, that amino acids in the body. So on the left, the essential amino acids are obtained from nutrition or supplements. The non-essential amino acids are synthesized by the body. Okay? So when it comes to the amino acids, there are 3 of them that are referred to them as branched chain amino acids, or BCAAs. Okay? They happen to be leucine, isoleucine, and valine. I don't think you necessarily need to memorize that at all, but just so you know, that's just what they're called. And they have become very popular with people who work out in gyms and people who are trying to build muscles. So the nutritional supplement companies have produced lots of supplements of BCAAs. They're very popular. This is a huge moneymaker for the supplement industry. So let's talk about, are they really needed? What in the heck do BCAAs do? They are very important for muscle maintenance. They're an energy source for muscles. The ingredients, they are the ingredients of muscle building. BCAAs make up 30 to 40% of the essential amino acids in protein that builds muscle. They support muscle condition. So they're very important. They have more importance with muscle building than the other amino acids have. Okay, so we're going to come back. There's just a little joke here. This is the peptide bond conga line. Leucine always hated being next to serine on the peptide bond. Haha. So if you look at the amino acid composition of most most protein powders, you will see that leucine, isoleucine, and valine, the branched chain amino acids, make up a large or a significant amount of the protein that's in protein powders. Whey protein does have the highest amount of leucine, as you can see here, compared to casein or soy. Unfortunately, they don't have pea protein on here, but I'll show you another slide with pea protein here in a minute. So when you buy, most protein powders are going to have the branched chain amino acids in there, but they'll also have the other amino acids, which is good. I'll come back to that too. So the key thing is here that when it comes to MPS, muscle protein synthesis, branched chain amino acids by themselves do not promote muscle growth. Okay. There's been studies where they've infused BCAAs into human beings, into their muscles, and there was no muscle protein synthesis. So that's one point to know right there. Just taking BCAAs or walking around with a drink, I see at the gym sometimes, is not going to increase muscle growth at all. Okay. For muscle growth to occur, the muscle has to have all essential amino acids present at the same time. Okay. So that's point number one. Another thing to know is that the transport of all three BCAAs, isoleucine, leucine, and valine, is by the same systems, which means that they will compete for transport to get into the muscle cells. So when you if a person was taking a BCAA supplement or powder, you don't know if you're getting leucine. And I should back up. One point I didn't mention. Leucine, of the three branched chain amino acids, leucine is the most potent stimulator of muscle protein synthesis. Okay, that's a key point. Leucine is the most potent stimulator of muscle protein synthesis. So leucine is the most important BCAA. So, but the problem is if you're taking BCAA supplements or powder, you don't know if leucine is getting to the cells because they compete with each other. So I see absolutely no reason to take branched chain amino acids. And as I mentioned, when studies have looked at giving BCAAs to people, whether it's through powder or supplements, there is no increase in muscle growth. However, because leucine is the primary stimulator of muscle protein synthesis, if you're going to take anything, I would take leucine. Do not take branched chain amino acids. And believe me, there are hundreds of BCAA supplements out there, and people spend a lot of money on them, and they're absolutely unnecessary. And in fact, some studies have shown that muscle protein synthesis goes down when people take branched chain amino acids. However, as I mentioned, leucine of the three BCAAs is the primary stimulator and has been shown to increase muscle protein synthesis. Leucine has to be accompanied by all essential amino acids at the same time. So you can't just go around popping leucine pills and hope that you're going to build big muscles. You have to have adequate enough protein consumed at each meal, as I showed you in that one slide, and you have to have leucine as part of that protein mix. So where do you get leucine? All right, let's look at this one. So this is a slide with essential amino acid and leucine content of different protein sources. Anyway, so you look on the left, animal, you've got animal, and on the right you have plant. You can see the amount of leucine. This graph basically is how much leucine is in these products. You can see whey has the most, but it's not that much more. I mean, yes, it is true. Whey protein has more leucine than any other protein. It is the best source of leucine. So if you're really wanting to consume more leucine to make sure you're building muscle, I would highly recommend using either whey protein powder or getting your whey from food, which is what I do. You can get whey from Greek yogurt, from milk, from cottage cheese easily. So if you are a dairy eater and you have no problems consuming dairy products, then I don't think you need any kind of supplement at all. Okay. You can see that even beef, eggs, and fish also contain leucine. If you are vegan and you're not consuming any animal products at all, You can still get your leucine from food. So like lentils, quinoa, beans, you can see across the bottom, hopefully on the slide. Pea protein has a little bit less than lentils and quinoa, but oats and potatoes and wheat still contain leucine. So if you get a good variety of any of those plant-based foods, you'll get a fair amount of leucine from them just right there. But again, you can't just pop the leucine supplement. You've got to have you got to take in food that has all essential amino acids, and that would be basically all these other foods. All these foods here contain the essential amino acids. Any animal food, whether it's dairy or beef or eggs or fish, they all contain all of the essential amino acids. A lot of plant-based foods also contain the essential amino acids, but in lower quantities. Soy actually is one of the best plant-based proteins in terms of getting essential amino acids. So soy products like tofu and tempeh are really good sources of essential amino acids. Sorry, the slide's a little blurry. Plant sources of leucine, sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds. These are just kind of reiterating what that other slide showed. Lentils, black beans, tofu. Okay, whoops. Oh, I guess we are at the end. So let's recap, because I feel like we kind of let's see. There I am. Oh, good. Now I can see everybody's questions. Hey, Terry, Georgia, Susan, Yuli, Georgia. Okay. Oh, okay. So I see Georgia's question. What about taking amino acid supplement? Absolutely unnecessary. Absolutely unnecessary. Amino acids are the building blocks of protein. So you would have to take all 9 amino acid supplements, but why? When you can get it in food so easily in food. Protein is so easy to get in food. Now, sometimes it's hard to get enough protein, but that can easily be addressed by eating more high protein foods. Do you see what I'm saying? But never, and all the sports scientist people that I talk with frequently have all said the same thing, is that there is really no need to take any amino acid supplements at all. Okay. So, I just plan to get it from your food. I mentioned earlier, leucine is the one amino acid that is a stimulator of muscle protein synthesis. Okay, but you can get leucine pretty easily from food. I just don't see any reason. I guess, I mean, if you were on some really restrictive diet, then I could see maybe taking leucine as a supplement. But you have to still make sure you have all the other essential amino acids, that you're consuming them all for leucine to do its thing. So I hope that makes sense. Just keep in mind that the nutritional supplement industry is a multi-billion-dollar business, and most of those products are not necessary. They're just huge money makers. Okay, so yes, and Georgia, the protein and inflammation. I got your question earlier, which is a really good question. I'm not going to cover that in this live, because that's kind of a whole other thing, the inflammation story, or I shouldn't say story, but chronic inflammation is a thing, and we do want to try to reduce the inflammation that can lead to heart disease and cancer and diabetes. But the biggest thing with that is just eating less processed food and eating more kind of natural whole foods. Okay, but I'm going to address the meat and inflammation issue in a separate live, because that's a different thing. So I want to recap what I was talking about, and I hope that the slides weren't too boring or complicated or anything. But basically, we do need more protein as we get older to help slow the process of sarcopenia, age-related muscle loss, and that's why I'm such a big proponent of muscle or of strength training, resistance training, same thing, especially for women. And yeah, that's a good question tomorrow about collagen peptides. I'll come back to that in just a second. You guys have such great questions. So yes, we do need more protein than probably what most of us are consuming. And if you didn't hear already, I'm puppy sitting a puppy. Hold on, just not this one. Hold on, just a minute. Great. Okay, so yes, we do, and you do need to spread the protein out throughout the day so that you can reach the maximum rate of muscle protein synthesis. Okay, so that is important, making sure you get enough protein. And if you want to know how much, I've talked about that in other live sessions, and I think I have some handouts up above in the guide section or in the file section, I think. So look up there. I've gone over that in other sessions, so I'm not going to do that right now. But in general, most women probably need 20 to 30 grams of protein per meal if you want to have a general guideline, but it does depend on body size and activity level. So the amino acids are just the building blocks of the protein, of all the proteins, and the essential amino acids, all of them have to be present. There's 9 of them. Actually, it's 9 for babies, 8 for adults. But so all 8 of them have to be present for muscle protein synthesis to occur. And definitely leucine has to be a big part of that. So what that means then is consuming foods that are high in leucine. The highest one is whey protein, or dairy actually has is an excellent source of whey and casein. Those are 2 different types of protein. But if you're not a dairy consumer, and I know a lot of women aren't, then you can get it from plant-based sources. The legumes are really good. Pea protein. So if you're vegan and you're looking for a protein powder, I would probably get a pea protein protein powder, or soy, because those have a good amount of the essential amino acids as well as leucine. And the other takeaway point I hope that you get is that there is no need. In fact, it may be detrimental to take branched chain amino acid supplements. There are 3 branched chain amino acids: isoleucine, leucine, and valine, and they compete for entry into the muscle cell. So it actually is not a good idea to take branched chain amino acid supplements. Okay. Studies have shown they do not increase muscle protein synthesis. Taking leucine by itself may help to create bigger muscles. Okay. As long as leucine is accompanied by all the other essential amino acids. So I hope that makes sense. I think from what I've read, the effect of muscle growth by taking leucine or any protein supplement is pretty small. Okay. You're going to get a much bigger effect of strength and muscle health by doing the actual strength training. Okay. So you can't just take protein supplements and get bigger muscles. You have to actually use the muscles. Strength training, resistance training, powerlifting, all those things do help stimulate muscle growth. But the more important thing is, doing some type of strength training and getting enough protein. I would focus far more on making sure you're getting enough protein at each meal and not worry so much about, am I getting enough, leucine? Okay. Because the studies looking at leucine's effect on MPS are pretty small. I mean, there is a significant increase in strength when leucine is present. However, it's pretty small. So all of that boils down to, I don't think you need to take any of these supplements. I think you should just focus on getting enough protein at all of your meals. Okay. Be sure to include some high leucine. That's what I do, but I know a lot of people don't like dairy, so you can get it from legumes and or, oh, here's our special guest. Duncan, come here, Duncan. Come here, Duncan. Come here, real quick. Okay. He's our special guest. If you didn't see him in the very beginning, we're puppy sitting today. This is Duncan. He's going to be a guide dog. A friend of mine is training him to be a guide dog. So anyway, he's our special guest. Tamara asked about collagen peptides. You know, collagen, I actually did a live on collagen. You can look for it, or I'll tag you on it, Tamara. The quality of protein is not as good as whey or soy or casein protein. So collagen is a lower quality protein. And I know there have been some studies showing that collagen may help reduce osteoarthritis or make our joints stronger and help prevent osteoarthritis. Collagen has also, there's two different kinds of collagen though. And one form of collagen has been shown to help reduce wrinkles, and which I probably should take, and has a positive effect on skin and hair. That's one type of collagen. The other type is more associated with changes in the strength of our joints and may help reduce pain in our knees and hips and other joints. I do know that you have to take the collagen peptides for at least 4 months to see any kind of effect. So it's worth trying. I mean, if you have bad knees, it's definitely worth trying taking the collagen supplements. Just make sure if your goal is to reduce the pain in your knees, make sure you have the right kind of collagen. There's collagen 2 and 3. And I can't remember which goes for which, but I can look it up and let you know. But again, a lot of these supplements, the claims they make are pretty exaggerated, I think. And I think we're all looking for that magic, bullet, and I just don't think you're going to get that much of an effect. But it's definitely worth a try to take the collagen. I don't see anything wrong with it, but I don't know if it's how effective it is in the long run. So I hope that answers your question, Tracy. I don't know if you're watching or if you're going to watch later. You're the one who originally asked this question. Let me know if you have any other questions, put them below, because I do read all of them. And I read them later as well. So if you think of one, you can come back to this post and write it, or just post it in the group. Again, basically it comes down to, you don't need to take BCAA supplements at all. You don't need to take really any amino acid supplement at all. I can see maybe a place for taking leucine, but I don't know. I would just work on improving the quality of your diet and getting enough protein at each meal and being consistent in your strength training. Okay. So thank you for joining. I really appreciate it, you guys. I love doing this and I hope it's helpful. And anytime you have a question or a suggestion for a topic, please post it in the group. Thank you for being patient with my, the puppies that we have here today. And I will talk to you guys soon. Okay. Bye-bye.